reactions that'll happen at each various stage of the flight when you're on first stage or when you're on second stage.
That's right. We should actually hear Commander Peggy Whitson calling those abort modes out as they are ascending and really getting to orbit. She is tracking everything on both her tablet as well on her leg, as well as the crew display above Phi at which mode they are entering, and those modes identify basically where and what sequence Dragon would take at that point in time during the flight. Now we're about 10 seconds away from that engine chill for the first stage.
Each one of us in our community brought to the team to make this kind of impact to society is what inspires me to be an engineer.
Engine chill has started.
All right on time. We've opened the valves that are letting liquid oxygen and kerosene fuel down to the Merlin 1D engines on the first stage. Our next major activity coming up at T-minus 6 minutes approximately, we'll hear the announcement that fuel loading is complete on the first stage. And one other comment, while we were hearing the briefing to the crew at the T-minus 10 minute mark, we also heard reference to a call out that may or may not be made at T-minus 35 seconds. Many of the checkouts of the Falcon 9 are done by computer in the last minute. There is one today that requires an engineer to look at some data. If, for example, that system had an issue, that would be called out at T-minus 35 seconds. Right now, everything continues to look good, though, on Falcon 9.
It's great to hear. What about you, Rona?
It's been such an inspiring and exciting experience, really seeing this team come together.
We also heard in the briefing that they are tracking an anvil cloud that at the time of the briefing was about 5 miles away from the pad. They are tracking it. It just needs to stay outside of 3 miles, so everything still continues to look okay on that front. The next call out that we'll hear in about 30 seconds is that Dragon has transitioned to the terminal count configuration. That's basically an indication that the Dragon spacecraft has taken over the spacecraft's countdown and will at that point be on internal power.
Yeah, to see the physical embodiment of what you've been working so hard on.
Yes, absolutely.
At this point in time, RP1 is now completely loaded both on the first and second stages. LOX load continues on both stages. It'll wrap up at T-minus 3 minutes for first stage and T-minus 2 minutes for second stage.
Who asks, will Psyche's magnetic field be measured and mapped?
Falcon is pressurizing for
magnetization locked in from at least its collisions. Rona, that sounds like a question for you.
Amazing
pressurization call out. We are putting pressurized gas helium onto the stage in preparation for opening up the clamp arm that's around the top of the second stage. That'll happen just at about the T-minus 4 minute mark. Clamp arm will open, and about 10 seconds after that, the strong back, the structure alongside the Falcon 9, will recline just about 2 degrees away. We've heard the call out, strong back is retracting. That starts the sequence now in the ground computer to open the arms and recline that strong back about 2 degrees away. At liftoff, hydraulics will then pull the strong back to a position about 45 degrees away from the rocket as it flies out of the launch mount.
Walters on X is asking a question we've touched on before, but if you're just tuning in, he wants to know,
see the arms opening up now around the second stage.
From the asteroid. Carver?
So we should now be able to see that strong back retract just a couple degrees away from the launch vehicle. Upon liftoff, it will move back even further in order to clear the way for Falcon 9. Looks like we can start to see that movement now.
Great. And Carver, a few more people are asking,
this structure is what is utilized to horizontally integrate the vehicles while still in the hangar, as well as transport them horizontally to the launch pad and then raise them to their vertical launch position.
So it'll arrive at the asteroid in August of 2029.
Great, thank you. Curtis Horn
on YouTube. And we've got strong back is now. You see a little bounce there as it stops.
Stage 1 LOX load is complete.
And right on time, stage 1 LOX load is complete. We're down to just loading a liquid oxygen on the second stage. That'll wrap up just after T-minus 2 minutes, at which point we'll have the 1,000,000 pounds propellant on board Falcon 9 ready to fly.
I don't know if
We
there
can see
may
the
be
vehicle
metallic
continuing to
objects in the
vent
Earth.
some of that gaseous,
Great.
or the liquid oxygen that has now vaporized.
Dragon is in terminal count and is on
We'll
internal
get back
power.
to him with an answer.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then Johnny Cheese on YouTube asks,
We have a live
how
view
many
there
cameras
of
are on
the
board, and
SpaceX
what
team
will the
here at
resolutions
headquarters
of the
in Mission
images
Control on the
be?
left-hand side, as well as the Axiom team
the
from
Psyche
their
spacecraft
own
has
Mission
2
Control
imagers
as
on
well
board.
on the right.
And the image quality or the resolution is going to get better as we move later on, as the spacecraft gets
Dragon
closer
SpaceX
to the
for
surface,
weather.
we'll be able
Looks
to see
like
more
the
detail on
system has
surface.
cleared, and we're looking like we're go for launch for weather.
Be about 5 meters per pixel,
All right,
about
we've heard a
14
good
feet
news
per
information to the crew.
Dragon copies.
on the surface.
We're letting them know that it appears the weather
And
is
I have
going to
another
avoid the
question for
area.
Carver. Max Shivitz on YouTube wants
That
to
is
know,
great news indeed.
What's the difference between an asteroid and a protoplanet?
Just waiting now for the call out.
So
Liquid
asteroids
oxygen
we
load
see
complete
today
on the
in our
second
solar
stage.
system, most of them are spread out between Mars
Stage
and
2,
Jupiter.
LOX load is complete.
Much smaller chunks of rock.
Dragon
than
is in
Earth
auto
or
idle.
Even our own moon. A protoplanet would have been an object.
Ground gas
early in
closeouts,
solar
expect
system
cloud
history
venting.
That was growing, getting much larger, and some of those protoplanets would have gone on to become the planets
At venting,
that
we're
we see in
now
our solar system
bleeding
today.
off excess
Like we're
pressure
standing
in
on
the
Earth
strong
here.
back.
And
That's
some
what's
of those
giving
other
that large
protoplanets
white
may have
plume
collided with
as
others
cold
and
gas meets the
merged
warm
to form
Florida
bigger
air and condenses the
protoplanets.
moisture.
And some of them may have collided and broken
Coming up
apart.
on 1 minute where the
And
flight
some of that
computers will take
debris
over the
from breaking
sequence.
apart
Let's
is
listen
still
in to the
left over
launch
in the
of Falcon
asteroid.
9 with Dragon and the Axiom 2 crew.
Great, thank you. And Rajavel T on YouTube asks, is Psyche a magnetic planet? Will it
FTS is
have
on and is now
molecules
controlling.
from solar winds? Rona?
Dragon is in countdown.
That is very interesting. Well, if it is magnetized, it may be able to protect its own surface from the solar wind.
Dragon,
However,
SpaceX,
it is
go for
very
launch.
low chance, if at all, that it has water molecules around its surface.
Dragon
We
copies.
have
Go for launch.
very low gravity compared to the Earth. Even
T
the
minus
moon
30
has
seconds.
Very little water molecules hovering around its surface, very hard to detect. So we don't believe an object like Psyche would likely have water molecules around it. But Psyche's magnetic field will definitely, if it exists, will definitely be
T
able
minus
to
15.
shield it, at least in part, from the solar radiation, solar wind, and
T minus
cosmic
10.
rays.
9, 8,
And we're
7,
still getting some great
6,
questions that are coming
5,
in.
4,
a viewer on YouTube
3,
is asking, what is
2,
the diameter
1.
and the gravity of
Engines
the
full
Psyche
power.
asteroid? Carver?
and liftoff, Falcon 9. Go Axiom.
It's one alpha.
Copy 1 Alpha.
Together we expand what is
Vehicle
possible in
position
low
range.
Earth orbit. Add Astra and Godspeed AX2.
And I don't know about the gravity, but Carver can estimate.
We could maybe get back to them.
Yeah.
Well, that was a great question from this viewer. We will get back to you with that answer too. Thank you. And I really do like when you put it in like that size method, the size of Massachusetts. That really adds.
T
like,
plus
a
36 seconds
Bonnie
into
on
flight.
Facebook asks,
A great view of Falcon 9 heading to space.
going through space.
Power and telemetry is nominal.
A
Stage
great
1
call.
throttle down.
Or something else.
Power telemetry nominal. We're into the throttle bucket. Is the first stage is throttle down power on the Merlin engines in preparation
That's
for
a
max
perfect
Q.
answer. Kevin Cook on YouTube wants to know, how close will the spacecraft come to the Psyche asteroid?
Falcon 9 is supersonic.
Faster than the speed of sound as we're getting great views from the first stage camera looking back at Kennedy Space Center Complex 39A.
Thank you. And then
Stage 1 throttle up.
wants to know,
Max Q.
what is the amount of material within the asteroid
We're out of the
belt
throttle
being
bucket.
formed
Stage one
planet?
Bravo.
What is the possibility that the belt is a
Copy, 1
transition
Bravo.
phase?
We're at full power
like
and that
Saturn
call at 1 Bravo. That's another one of those abort modes. As we get higher and
So,
faster,
there's
the logic
not
for
enough
Dragon, should a
mass
contingency
in the
occur,
asteroid belt to
changes
form planets,
from
even
stage
above
to
the
stage.
Impact chill is underway.
There's
Chill
just not
announcement
that
says we're
much
getting the
material
turbo
left
pump
over
on the
there.
second stage engine cooled down in preparation for
And
its light
we
up
see a lot
coming
of
up in just
surfaces
another
in
minute
some
from
of these
now.
asteroids that are very old and have a lot of craters from previous missions, like the Dawn spacecraft that went to visit the asteroid Vesta.
Again,
So we
great
know
views
that
looking
there's a lot
back,
of these
and you can
asteroids
see the
that have been
contrail
there
as we
for
left
all the
39A
solar systems.
and the shadow of the
And it's
contrail
not
against the
something that's
cloud deck
actively,
around
like,
Florida.
forming and creating new planets
we're coming
there
up
right now.
Three big
These are
sequences
literally
and a
just
view
leftovers from
live
these
of the crew
processes that
inside
happened in all the
Dragon.
plants for forming billions
They're
of
getting
years
ready.
ago.
We're going to get 3 events here. Main engine
And
cutoff,
I think I have a follow-up
stage
question for you.
separation,
Shalom Hammer
and
on
then we're
YouTube
going to light the
asks,
second
does
stage
Psyche
engine. We've
have
heard the
any
throttle down
moons?
in preparation for stage separation.
It does not have any moons that we know of at this time. We wouldn't expect there to be any
Eco.
that we haven't seen yet, unless they
Two Alpha.
some very small
Stage separation
debris.
confirmed.
Copy 2 Alpha.
We haven't seen any moons.
And back ignition.
Thank you, Carver. And we have another
Stage 1,
question
boost
coming
back
in
startup.
from J2X on X is asking,
All right, stage
"There's an
separation. We've lit the
interesting
second
mission, no two
stage
ways
engine.
about it,
The
but
first
what
stage
does
is
NASA
into the
plan to
boost
do with
back
the data
burn,
following a
working its way
successful
back
mission?
towards
Further
Cape
research
Canaveral.
and understanding only, or a basis for follow-on missions to similar objects?"
Views on the left side,
Jonah?
that's the first stage. Engines running
That's
as
an
we come back to the
excellent
launch site or the
So,
landing site.
we are explorers.
Second
We always
stage
think about the
engine
next
nozzle
mission.
is visible on the right side
So every
as
mission
we're
that-
powering
every
the
planet that we
Axiom
visit,
2
every
crew
object that we
into
visit,
low Earth
all the
orbit on the way to the
information,
International Space
is gathered,
Station.
is analyzed by the scientists that built the instruments and being then distributed to the public. So you can actually go on NASA websites and download all the data from previous
Waiting for
missions.
call out that the
And
boost back
then
burn is complete.
You and everybody around the world can think about what would be the next question, the next object we
Stage
would
1,
go
boost back
to
shut down.
explore. And even before
Right on
that,
time.
when
First
we
stage
planned the
completed
mission,
the
we
first of
only
3
planned it
burns,
for so
heading
many
back to the
years,
landing site.
few years,
Second stage
of
continuing
orbiting,
on
Joshua
power
Psyche,
and
for
on
example.
trajectory.
But if the spacecraft
Acquisition
remains
signal,
intact,
Bermuda.
we always think about, oh, if we actually survive those first 2 years, what
Head
are we going to
northeast,
do
the
next?
Bermuda
Are we
ground
gonna
station.
Dragon,
land on the
SpaceX,
object, or we're
trajectory
gonna go
nominal.
visit another object? And almost
Bermuda
every
is
mission
listening
recently
into the vehicle
Copy,
now.
nominal trajectory.
actually extended
And the
itself
crew hears the
and chose
call out of a
another
nominal
target. So you don't-
trajectory.
you don't even have
So
to
4
wait
minutes
for
into flight,
it. Just
everything
explore
continuing to
the
go well.
spacecraft
First stage
that we
heading
have,
back.
hopefully.
And there's the crew on the second
Those are some
stage,
exciting
getting the
possibilities.
ride into
Carver, do you have
orbit to the
anything to
space
add?
station.
No, that was a great answer.
Perfect. We'll go on to Space Guy on YouTube. Why Psyche? Aren't there any closer asteroids that could be visited? Give that one to you, Carver.
Sure. I mean, the thing that makes Psyche special is it is the largest metallic asteroid that we know of in our solar system. We don't know of any other large object like this that we could go visit. And so if we want to understand what Psyche is, what these
Coming
metallic
up, we're waiting
asteroids
for the
are,
next trajectory
and
call
what
out
their
from the guidance
relationship
officer.
is to the
Dragon,
Earth and
SpaceX,
its core,
trajectory nominal.
This is the place to go.
Love to hear those words. A nominal trajectory for Dragon.
Copy, nominal
And
trajectory.
Sana Nomad.
And maybe even a little bit of excitement in the crew's voice. Commander Peggy Whitson calling back down, hearing that call out from GNC of
Well,
a
it's an
nominal
interesting
trajectory.
story. So at first,
Left side of the screen, you can see the first stage. It's now beginning to orient itself so that the engines are pointed down towards the land as we will be descending towards landing zone 1 in Cape Canaveral. The 4 titanium grid fins have all deployed. They'll help guide
Acquisition signal, boss.
They'll guide the first stage through the once we get into the atmosphere, following the
and then the idea
entry
emerged that
burn,
maybe what's
which will be
called,
coming up here in
partially
another couple of
differentiated
minutes.
bodies. It's a very big
On the right-hand
term to say
side,
that
the second stage with the Dragon capsule on top, heading up the eastern seaboard of the U.S. We've just heard the call out of Boston. That's the New Hampshire tracking station. Has picked up the signal.
Dragon, SpaceX, trajectory nominal.
Today.
And see, continuing to make those calls that we want to hear. Has picked up the
Trajectory
signal.
nominal.
Right now is that
Dragon, SpaceX,
And the crew
trajectory
echoing them
nominal.
right back
So
down.
your ISS
And see,
linking
continuing to
back.
make those call-outs that we want to
Uh,
hear.
yeah,
With the
yeah.
crew, we've been able to bring
Nominal.
some live video shots from inside the capsule, echoing them as they're headed to space.
Bag, and that will be the one that ends up in the Dragon.
And there's another view of the crew. We've been able to bring some live video shots from inside the capsule as they're headed to
Stage 1,
space.
entry burn, startup.
How would we design a mission?
And there we
And
heard
there's another
that
view
the
of the
startup
crew.
burn for that stage 1 booster, you can see it there on the left-hand side of your screen,
Stage 1, entry
has now
burn,
begun.
startup.
And there we
Stage one,
heard
entry
that
burn
the
shutdown.
startup burn for and the that conclusion stage of that 1 entry booster, that burn there on the left-hand side of your screen, slow the vehicle down as it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. The first stage sees high drag, which burns that roughly 70% of the velocity slow the vehicle down as it re-enters the Earth's atmosphere. Love to hear that call out. The first stage sees high drag, which scrubs roughly 70% of the velocity. Beautiful view of planet Earth coming to us from the second stage views on the right-hand side. Love to hear that call out. Left-hand side, our first view of the Space Coast once again. Beautiful view of planet attempting a landing to us from the second stage views on the right-hand side. Left-hand side, our first view of the Space Coast once again. This booster is attempting a landing at LZ1.
Stage 1, transonic.
That booster is now traveling near ground. Live view coming to you from one of our tracking cameras. We can see the grid fins actuating to help steer the booster down.
Stage 1 landing burn.
Stage 2 FTS has saved.
Standing by to...
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
There you
Stage 1 landing confirmed.
You can see that first stage has landed back at time that we have performed a land landing on a crew mission. Coming up next will be second engine cutoff, or SECO, and that's where after that engine cuts off, second stage will coast for a few minutes until Dragon is commanded to separate.
And that'll work fine.
Stage 2 is in terminal guidance.
And you should see SSC9 on the network.
We're expecting SECO to occur in about 20 seconds.
Okay, copy. We'll take a look, yeah, and concur that's a good config that you mentioned. And then just so, we do want some confirmation that once this sleeping bag deploy is complete,
Copy,
we don't
Shannon.
want you to have to call down later just to tell
Commander
us.
Peggy Whitson
when we see
continuing
that
to call
activity
out
marked
the
as
abort
complete,
modes.
We'll take that as the confirmation we need.
That's a good plan. I appreciate that.
That's all we got. You guys have a good evening.
All right, on time shutdown of that second engine. Also confirming that the launch escape system is, and there's that call out. We can confirm good orbital insertion.
Copy, nominal insertion.
Dragon SpaceX launch escape system disarmed.
We can see the crew playing with their harnesses.
Copy.
Now that they are in zero-G, which I think we just got a view of our zero-G Stuffy. Clearly the crew is having fun already. Right after liftoff, I think we heard a laugh coming from Commander Peggy Whitson, which, being a NASA legend and one of the most decorated astronauts of all time, it's amazing to hear that even a space veteran as she still has fun at liftoff. The next event that we have coming up at just around T plus 12 minutes is Dragon separation. That's where the Dragon spacecraft and trunk, so collectively referred to as the Dragon spacecraft, will separate from the second stage.
Acquisition signal Finland.
After that separation, we will begin to deploy the nose Nawi. To the right of her is pilot John Schaffner. Then we have Commander Peggy Whitson, and on the far right, mission specialist Ali Al-Karni. We can see that the excess strap on some of the harnesses, as well as the writing utensil for their tablets, they continue to play around with as they are experiencing zero-G for the first time. At least we can say that for 3 of the 4 astronauts on board today. Now we are standing by for Dragon separation, which is expected to occur in the next few seconds.
Dragon separation.
And
Wow.
there you can see live on your screen that Dragon shrunken capsule. That's a really cool view. That's
Dragon SpaceX launch director. A very great flight. Wish you safe travels. A few words from our chief engineer as well.
Thanks for putting your trust in the Falcon 9 team. Hope you enjoyed the ride to space. Have a great trip on Dragon. Welcome home to 0G, Peggy.